Oh, I didn't see you there. I was just about to give the Nox a bit of a bath before I return it back to the shop. I've been riding this thing down in Rotorua at Crankworx last week, just got back, so I just need to get it cleaned up and return it. So what is this thing? Well, it's the Nox Helium All-Mtn 5.9 Pro. Hopefully I've got all that right. I always struggle with that. You may have seen a video I did a while ago. I actually reviewed a red one, looked kind of similar, and that was their Enduro model. But this one's a little bit different. This one is a full 29er. It's a little, it's 160 travel. It's air shock at the back rather than coil. And as I say, it's not a mullet, it's a 29er. So it's a little bit of a lighter weight, I guess, all-mountain trail bike. The thing that makes these bikes a little bit different is this one runs a Fazua 50 drive, trail drive motor. Anyway, 58 Newton meters. Anyway, let me show you something. It's pretty cool. If I just flick the switch there, what do you think of that? So you're thinking, well, that's not that impressive, Lance. This looks like a 625 watt-hour battery, but no. If I do this at the thing, this is the battery. It's only 252 watts, but it only weighs 1.4 kilos. So it's pretty light. And this is the motor. Now I'm getting you confused, aren't you? That's the drive unit, and that just connects into down there. And so effectively you can take both the motor and the battery out. But there's more. Okay, so this is just an empty container. You can actually put things in it if you wanted to. This will actually slot. Let's see if I can do that. Slot back in there. You can actually got a key on the other side. You can actually lock it in place, which is pretty cool. But now effectively you've got a normal bike. You don't have a motor in here, so there's no real resistance to turning the cranks when you're pedaling along. So I think this would be cool. Imagine if you went to Whistler. They wouldn't let you take it in the bike park. I don't know why, but they don't. You could ride down, do laps of A-line on this thing, and then the next day slap the motor and the battery in and go and ride some of the valley trails or head up to Squamish. So that would be pretty cool. So what else on this bike? As I say, it's got Fox suspension, a set of 36s at the front, and a Fox float, a shock out the back. SLX, mostly Shimano SLX drivetrain, Shimano SLX brakes. It's also got some nice DT Swiss wheels on it and a Fox dropper post. A 150 on this one. This is the medium, and I think the large comes with a 175. Now this bike is a medium. It's quite small for a medium. It's a 437 reach, I think, on this one. And I did find, especially climbing this thing, probably a little bit on the small side. I would go for the large if it was me. But anyway, pretty cool bike. Let's go and ride it in some of that hero dirt out of Rotorua and see what we think of it. Alrighty, a little bit of trail riding. This is a lovely little bit of trail called Paddy's Run here in Rotorua. I've got it actually, if you can see there, in the green setting, which is the lowest setting. I forget the names. They've got cute names for their different power outputs, but this one's the green, then you got the blue, and then the purple. Now, if you're a regular watcher of my channel, you know that I love power. So riding in a low power is not really my thing, but this is actually all right, to be honest. I guess the bike pedals pretty easy, even with the motor off. In fact, for hoots and giggles, let's just do that, shall we? Yep, so now we've got no power on at all, so I've turned the motor off. And it really does feel, I'm actually pedaling uphill, which was a bit of a mistake, to get out the seat. Okay, I'm going to turn the power on now. I am going to turn the power on. Bit of power. Okay, that's better. This actually is a bit steep. I probably could have got up, but no, I don't know if I could have actually. Not with my weak jelly legs. But I guess some people could ride this with the motor off a lot of the time, and then just use a bit of power just for those hills when it's a little bit harder going. Lovely bit of forest, this one. 29er grows pretty quick. Hard or easy, we should take the hard, I guess. Hey, pretty manoeuvrable. It's quite a short bike, being only a medium, so I'd probably go for the large, but all right, choose a line. Good old Cryptotail tyres. Conti's got some good tyres on it. Yeah, they run really well.
You drop. As you can see, it rolls. It's got 2.4 tyres on, so not the biggest, chunkiest tyres. So I guess you'd call this a real, I guess it's not the big burly version. This is kind of their all-mountain trail kind of bike, if I would put it at. And believe it or not, I'm still riding in the green mode. And yeah, it's actually not too bad, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go up to the purple because we've got a bit of a climb. I think it's the thing with e-bikes a little bit, you can almost use the motor like another set of gears. You've got a bit of a climb, steep climb, put it in a bit more power, flattens out, drop the power a bit. It's a beautiful surface. This here in Rotorua, if you never been here, it's one of the best riding locations in the world, and I have been to a few of the best riding locations in the world, so I know what I'm talking about. Okay, a little fun bit just down here, a little bit of downhill. Oh, nice duck. Little jump, another jump. Woo, cool. All right, just stopping for a little bit of lunch. Got in my backpack, good old Leah backpack. Got my sandwich in there. But not only that, also carrying a spare battery. These things don't really weigh very much at all. I used to carrying cameras and things to make these sort of videos, and so you haven't really noticed that I'm carrying an extra one. So pretty much I've used the battery already, so I'm going to swap out for the second half of the day. All right, well that was a nice ride out at, in Rotorua. One of the questions you've probably got is, well, how far can I go on a 252 watt-hour battery? And I did go for a ride with my friend. He's a bit shorter than me, so I gave him this bike and rode my one, and we ended up doing about 35 Ks. It wasn't in full power the whole way. On the way back, we did shut the power back just to make sure we got back, but we did get back with some spare battery. So anyway, 35 Ks, not too difficult. You can get a second battery, and if you were buying this bike, I'd definitely buy it with a second battery. They're only 1.4 kgs, so I did actually do a ride in Rotorua and actually carried a second one in my backpack. So that's not a bad idea. Not everyone likes carrying things. I'm probably the same, but I'm used to carrying cameras and things like that in my backpack, so I didn't notice an extra 1.4 kgs in there. If you're riding a local bike park in your cars, you tend to come back to your car. Obviously, you can leave this in your car and just swap out if that's what you wanted to do. Other thing about this bike, it's a very, I guess it's for people who like minimalist bike. There's no display on this bike, so you can link it to your phone. I think it is very tunable as well. Don't quote me on this, but I believe you can even increase the cutout speed as well. So depending on what country and legalities and things like that. But I believe that can be done, but say, don't quote me on that. But yeah, very simple little button on the handlebar. You do have to be a little bit careful that you don't bump it and accidentally change it. It's quite easy to do, although again, I think you can change the sensitivity in the app. There's a lot of things you can play with. Anyway, why don't we go and take it out for a bit more of a spin, maybe some climbs, some jumps, that sort of thing. Okay, so I guess my reviews are not strong on the whole hill climbing aspect, but given it's got a smaller motor, I guess we should discuss that. It's 58 Newton meters. I've got it in the most powerful setting, and to be honest, that feels pretty good. You still feel as though, well, you can definitely notice it more over your 85 Newton meter Bosch and EP8 type motors, but and you can probably hear me puffing, so I am getting a bit of a workout. It does have a lockout on the rear shock, so that can stiffen it up and that can help. Oh, I am puffing. The other thing, of course, probably the big thing, is that this bike is a little small for me, and I can't quite get the seat up enough for a good climbing position, so it's making me work the old legs a bit more. So yeah, I think I'd probably prefer the large size, especially for climbing anyway. But we're getting up there, All right, we're doing a set of jumps called Katori jumps. These are real dirt jumps, not particularly e-bike friendly, well, not for me anyway. So you've got to get them absolutely perfect if you want to get over them. I think we might even pull that off today. Yes, happy with that. All right, might as well drop into something a little bit steeper. This is the bottom section of K2. It's a grade 5. I think I've just about got the suspension dialed. It took me a little while, but I guess that's the great thing about one thing over air shock over a coil is you've got a lot more ability to change it, especially if you're like me and jumping on a bike that's, you know, not specifically designed for my weight. That was alright. Oh, puddles, no mud guard. Alright, we're doing something I might regret a little bit. I'm riding a track called the Dipper. It's a family trail. Used to always do laps of this when I first started mountain biking. Used to love it. Don't do it so much these days, but I'm riding with the motor off and it feels pretty much like a normal bike. It's really quiet. There's no resistance like you get with, say, the Bosch and the Shimano motors. Going uphill a little bit, but not too bad. So yeah, I'm pedaling uphill now, motor's off. Normally on my own bike I would be screaming and crying by now, but yeah, you could kind of ride this thing as a normal bike and just almost use the power as a little bit of extra gears to give you a hand, if that's the sort of rider you are. Anyway, I'm heading back and time for a feed, I think.
All right, I'm back. So, final sum up of the bike, I guess. To me, I think it's very much an all-mountain bike. The funny thing, that the Enduro one, I did feel quite different to me. This bike, I felt comfortable on it on the techie stuff, on the trails, it was really cool. But in terms of the confidence to just go and send it, I didn't really feel confident. I don't know if that's because I'm still suffering from a neck injury and maybe my confidence is a little bit low, but I looked at some of the big jumps in Rotorua and decided against it on this thing. Again, maybe it was also as well, it's a little bit on the smaller side for me. So I think personally, this is the sort of person who likes a lighter bike, a bike where you're actually going to have to put in a bit of effort and still go for a ride, still work hard, but you just want that little bit of assistance to get you up some of the hills, but maybe sometimes you'll ride in very low power or no power at all. It's a pretty cool bike. As I say, these are being sold through Electrify New Zealand and probably some other shops throughout the country as well. I believe this is an unusual one because most of the bikes I review, I go, this is a cool bike, but there are none available. But certainly in New Zealand, these things are available to buy at the moment. I think they're 15 grand. I think that's the price going for them at the moment. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, of course, I'd be stoked if you did that. Thumbs up, like, all that sort of thing. And I'll see if I can answer any questions you have in the comments, and we'll see you on the next one.